Hello and welcome to our Fire Releasing Despacho chat. So this came about because the Kitchen Witch team recently spent our weekend at the Pagan Tribal Gathering, and one of the things that Rachel had put together was this workshop. And as it turned out, Rachel had been double booked. So rather than getting the lovely Pia, who is absolutely, she's the lady that organises the gathering, rather than at the last minute saying, oh, Rachel left the three of us, Ness, Sue and myself, to do this workshop. And it went really well. It's a lovely, lovely thing to do. We had a lovely group of ladies, and it went really well. And afterwards, we said how it would be nice to be able to share it with more people, and asked Rachel, because obviously this is hers, and she very kindly gave permission for this to go out as a blog and for me to actually do this so that people could see how it could work as well. So we were at a camp, and there was a lovely big campfire that we could actually dispose of our despacho, because despachos are meant to be burnt. You can bury them, but they are meant to be burnt. What I'm going to do today is show you how you can adapt that, because not all of us have a garden. Not all of us have a garden big enough to have a fire pit or some sort of burning receptacle big enough to throw in a packet. As it turned out, some of ours were that big, some of them were smaller, depending on how you folded it. But you still needed quite a large fire, and not all of us have that facility. So my idea is that the blog gives you the details. I'm going to go through them here as well, so you don't have to read the blog. But what I'm going to demonstrate, I hope, is that whether you're physically, if your mobility isn't good, or if you literally your environment means that you haven't got the facilities to do a large fire, you don't need one. You can actually do this sitting. You can do this with anything. So what am I using today? I'm not using a big fire in a lovely big open field today, unfortunately. What I am using, or going to use, is a tea light. I quite like using tea lights because they're very practical. They're usually white. You can get them in other colours. And if you want to use another colour, use a candle. If you want to do this as a full ritual, you can do. You can cast a circle. You can call in the quarters. This is you do you. Do it as you would want to. So if you want to use colour magic as part of it, use colour magic. Use a different colour tea light. Use a different colour candle. I also have my little burning bowl. This, I think, was once a container for pate years and years ago, but it's now my burning bowl. And it's quite small. For those of you that know me, you'll know why. Because if it was any bigger, I would be likely to burn an awful lot of things, and maybe not everything that I should. Other things may get involved. So yeah, it's better for me to have something that's controllable. So the tea light is in my bowl. Look in your kitchen cupboards. Rachel gives, because we were doing this in the middle of a field, we had to take things with us. We didn't have our cupboards with us. So she gave the herbs and spices to use. And those are the ones that I'm going to use, because actually I had them in my cupboard. But you might not. And if you don't, then look at what you've got. What else can you use? There are all sorts of different herbs and flowers and things that you can use that release, that let go. And if you want a real woof, I'd say something like a chili. Let's face it. Whew, when you got a chili in your mouth and it's hot, you're blowing it away. So that's another that just came into my head. But yeah, I mean, in Rachel's books, she's got lots of lists to do with herbs and plants for releasing. Look on the internet if you haven't got a book. then look on the internet. There are all sorts of things out there. If you are doing it as a full ritual and you are setting up an altar, do you. There is no dogma. There is no, you must have this and it must be positioned there, and you must have this and it must be positioned there. We're kitchen witches. Do you? I'm working on a table. I'm literally having things in front of me within easy reach. That suits me. If you want to set up a full table with an altar, that's absolutely, but go with what is right for you. You don't have to set everything out in a certain order. Set it out so that it flows for you. So, going back to what a despacho is. So a despacho is, it's based on the shamanic traditions from Peru. And Rachel has adapted it, as I said, and this is her witchy version of it. So I'm going to read out what she says. The idea is that the despacho is an offering bundle used for all sorts of intentions. Think of it as a spell parcel. The contents are symbolic to the intent and the people involved. The contents need to be biodegradable and able to burn without releasing any nasties into the air. Go with things such as herbs, spices, grains, sugars, leaves, twigs, seeds, flowers, incense, paper, feathers, dried pulses, salt, string, twine, and bark. A large sheet of paper, I'll come to that in a minute, and some string, the twine. You can make, as she said here, you can make your despacho part of a ritual ceremony, or you can just sit quietly in your own sacred space and create and just give a few words of prayer and or blessing. So we are going to be working a meditation to get to the point where you can make your despacho. So I've shown you my burning dish. The herbs that we used were coriander. Rachel brought seeds, coriander seeds. I haven't got any seeds. I've got the ground coriander. So that's what I'm using out of my cupboard. Wild thyme was another one. Mint and mustard seeds. And as you can tell, these are all purchased. I think the only one that probably wasn't was the mint. That's dried from last year. But they're all in my cupboard. If they hadn't have been, then I would have adapted. It's just that, what Rachel had used, I happen to have available. But if not, then I would have chosen a substitute. I'd have opened my cupboard and I'd have gone with my instinct, with my intuition, and just dragged something out. So if you haven't got these specifically, don't worry. Look in your cupboards. You'll find something that will work. You're going to need a bit of twine. I've got some jute twine because that usually burns quite nicely. I have a lighter. I have a pair of tweezers, an old pair of tweezers, simply because I've burnt my fingers so many times. Old pair of tweezers, or if you've got a pair of tongs, whatever. Use what you've got. We used pencil in the ritual, the workshop, and I would suggest still using pencil, because if you're burning it, you don't know what's going to be released from the pen ink. It's up to you, unless you're using something like beetroot juice or something, which you can use to write. But for this, I'm using a pencil. Paper. Now, Rachel had got us some lovely A4 brown paper, burns beautifully. But as I said, I'm trying to show you that you don't need to do this big. You can actually bring this down to a small size. So you could use a smaller piece of paper. You could incorporate colour magic by using a colour that you associate with releasing. The other thing that you could use, an old envelope. So if you haven't got a bit of paper, use a small envelope, which is what I'm going to use today. Simply to demonstrate that this can be done. You don't need to be in the middle of a field. It was very lovely being in the middle of a field, but you don't have to be. So, As I said, we need to actually do a meditation to get ourselves into this space to do this. So meditation is designed by Rachel to highlight areas of your life where things need to be released. As you are going through the meditation, make a mental note of any keywords, feelings, emotions, situations, or symbols that the meditation flags up for you, because you're going to be using these to write on your bit of paper that we're then going to burn. So for the meditation, you need to make yourselves comfortable. So if you're sitting, make sure that you're nice and settled in your chair. Feet are on the floor. If you're on the floor already, make sure that you're nice and comfortable. You need a blanket to keep warm, because body temperatures does tend to drop when you're meditating. So if you need a blanket, grab one. And then once you're comfortable, I want you to take several deep, slow breaths and feel any tension in your body releasing. Ground yourself in your usual way. For example, visualizing sending roots from whichever part of your body is in contact with the earth or the floor, deep down into the earth to anchor you. Continue taking deep, slow breaths. As your world around you dissipates, you find yourself on a grassy bank. The sky above you is grey and cloudy. In front of you is a dusty pathway that leads to an old bridge that appears to span across a large river. The air around you is still and quiet, but you can hear the river as it meanders along. You make your way to the edge of the bridge. The river is wide, but the bridge seems to traverse right across to the far side in the distance. Every so often, along the bridge, there are buckets, each one a different colour. You walk to the first bucket. What colour is it? What does that represent to you? Painted on the side is the word release. Look inside the bucket. What do you see? You feel drawn to pick up the bucket and acknowledge the contents. What do the contents mean to you? This is something that you need to let go of. Get a picture in your mind of the situation, emotion, feeling, or issue that you need to release. And then empty the contents of the bucket over the side of the bridge and into the flowing water of the river. As the contents spill out, release. You put the empty bucket back onto the bridge, but as you do so, you notice that it is refilled with beautiful flowers and foliage. Feeling lighter and more positive in yourself, you move further along the bridge towards the next bucket. What colour is it? What does that represent to you? Painted on the side is the word release. Look inside the bucket. What do you see? You feel drawn to pick up the bucket and acknowledge the contents. What do the contents mean to you? This is something that you need to let go of. Get a picture in your mind of the situation, emotion, feeling, or issue that you need to release. And then empty the contents of the bucket over the side of the bridge and into the flowing water of the river. As the contents spill out, release. You put the empty bucket back onto the bridge. As you do so, you notice that it has refilled with beautiful flowers and foliage. You walk farther along the bridge to the next bucket. What colour is it? What does that represent to you? Painted on the side is the word release. Look inside the bucket. What do you see? You feel drawn to pick up the bucket and acknowledge the contents. What do the contents mean to you? This is something you need to let go of. Get a picture in your mind of the situation, emotion, feeling, or issue that you need to release. And then empty the contents of the bucket over the side of the bridge and into the flowing water of the river. As the contents spill out, release. You put the empty bucket back onto the bridge. As you do so, you notice that it has refilled with beautiful flowers and foliage. Now make your way to the far side of the bridge. Turn around and look back along the length of the bridge and all the buckets that you emptied. Take note of the beauty that now fills them. This is you. You have released that which no longer serves you. There is one last bucket on the very edge of the bridge. Move towards it. It is full of an herb. You brush your hand over the foliage and are greeted with the scent of thyme. Your hand has made a connection with the plant, and it has some wisdom to share with you. Listen carefully. When you are ready, thank the plant and take one last look back over the bridge. You won't be crossing back. Now you are ready to move forward. Step off the bridge and onto the grassy bank in front of you. Take several deep, slow breaths. Wriggle your fingers and toes. Stretch if you need to. And when you are ready, open your eyes. And now you are going to jot down everything that you can remember, the words, the symbols, anything that you can remember from when you crossed over the bridge. If you want to, you can draw images, symbols, doodles, as well as writing words. It's really up to you. What you're then going to do is either on, if you've written on a piece of paper, then you just drop these herbs onto it, like me, and you're using an envelope. So we're going to start with coriander, and you only need a pinch, don't need much. So a little pinch. Going into my envelope, and then if you've got it on a bit of paper, you can hold your hand over the bit of paper. If you've got it in an envelope, you can hold it between. And Rachel's words are: coriander, strong and true, help me release and break through. The next herb was thyme. So again, a little sprinkle of thyme or a pinch of thyme whichever is easiest for you. Hold your hand over the paper or hold it between your hands. Power and magic of time, help me release an upwards climb. Next herb is mint. A little sprinkling of that going in. Cleansing strength of magical mint, negative energy released and leave no hint. And the last one was the mustard seeds. All of them wanted to go in, that's fine. A boost of magic in mustard seed, release that which I no longer need. And now I'm going to actually seal my envelope. I've got the writing here. And now what you need to do is to carefully fold the paper. So if you put it on paper, you need to fold it so that what you need to do is fold it into a packet. So, and you're doing it away from yourself. So you'd fold the first bit away, turn it, fold the next bit, turn it, fold the next bit, but always away from you. All right, it's important because you're releasing, you're letting go. So you want the paper to be folded away from you. So you do that 4 times, which would leave you with something that looks like an envelope. And then you could carry on folding it if you wanted, or if you felt that was enough and you just wanted to tie it up at that point, leave it quite loose. It's up to you. All right. So I am literally going to fold my envelope. And I'm literally folding it up like that each time away from me so that I am releasing it into. And in this situation, what I might do is just do another fold that way. Is it going to let me do another one? No, not really, but that's fine. It's still quite a small package. And then what you need to do is you need to bind it up. You need to bind all of that you want to release. You can do this any way you like. There isn't a set way of tying. Just bind it. Bind it up. You want rid of it. You want it to go. And you don't want it to come out whilst you're actually doing this. So you just want to tie it up nice and firmly. Like that. And then if you are doing this as a nice big package because you have got a lovely fire pit out in your garden, then you would carry this out to the garden. If you're like me and you're doing this indoors, then you need to light your candle. Just give it a couple of minutes just to build itself up. If you wanted to, you could say a few words at this point, such as, you know, fire, help me to get rid of that which no longer serves me. And then I'm going to see if this will. Jute is very handy because it does burn, as you can see really nicely. And as it's burning, with the power of magical herbs and plants into the fire to release, following my chance. Flames and fire, now let things go, a new pathway now for me to show. And then you can just drop it next to your candle when you're ready. Just hold that one more time so you can see. It's actually, don't know if you can hear that, but the herbs are crackling quite nicely. It's releasing really well. So I'm just going to pop that there and to one side so that I don't get smoke all over me. And just leave it to burn down. If you need to put it outside, you can put it outside. It actually doesn't smell that bad because of the herbs and spices that have been used, but it does make a lot of smoke. So yes, if you need to put it outside, put it outside. I hope this is useful to you. Please make comments. It's always nice to see whether it's been of use to somebody or not. Always willing to learn as we do these things. We're always learning. So yes, I hope you enjoy doing your despacho. Do let us know how you get on.